Welcome to Rock Solid, the Round Rock Business Leaders Podcast. Join your host, Bryan Eisenbuerg, as he explores the journeys of entrepreneurs and companies across Round Rock, Texas. From startups and nonprofits to large organizations, each guest shares their passion for doing business in this thriving community. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody. I'm here with Darwin Tanksley, the former Entrepreneur of the Year 2023.
Yes, 2023. Great year.
Great year, absolutely. And you come from a fairly common industry a lot of people know about, but you've done some remarkable things in it. I definitely want to touch on that and how you became Entrepreneur of the Year. So let's talk about it. You started in HVAC and plumbing, electrical, that kind of work in the trades, and you've built a really significant business. So let's talk about
pretty large company we were able to accomplish. One of the main key things that we found was there were a lot of smaller companies that were looking to exit but had no strategy. And it got me thinking.
A lot of mom and
pops. It's like, okay, well, let's reach out to a few individual, businesses in the area and find out how sales are going. Do they have an exit strategy? Are they wanting to exit? And one common thing that we found was they didn't understand the difference between, say, revenue and EBITDA,
or even cash flow.
Oh my gosh, yes. Cash accrual seemed to be everything that I saw out there. And it led me to believe that it wasn't anything that they were doing nefarious. They just didn't know. And experience has taught me as an entrepreneur, we don't know what we don't know. And that's why networking is so important. And so what I was able to find was not only were there good people inside these businesses, but there were things that we could learn from them. And we scaled it. I think we acquired 15 companies in a little over a year. It's way too many. I wouldn't recommend anyone doing that again. Probably want to scale that back. But, the opportunities were there and we jumped. We jumped full force. What I'm proud of is to see the development around the country, not only with Greenleaf, but outside the other companies in Oklahoma and Tennessee that are thriving. But the people within the business who are thriving now because they believed in the mission.
Let's touch on that because you mentioned, acquiring 15 companies and obviously creating the culture around that and the operations around that to succeed. What did that look like?
It's a war. It's a battle, right? Because we come in from a different perspective, meaning we're telling you, hey, hop on this train. And when we get to the next station, you're going to find that you are more knowledgeable, happier in your role, and you're going to see that there's a lot more opportunities. But we live in a capitalist society. When you improve your people will recognize that are your competition, and they will come after your people. And what I tell everyone is that's a part of business. It is a part of business. If you are not in control of your culture today, you are in trouble. That is probably the best advice I would give to any entrepreneur out there that has multiple employees, multiple offices. Keep an eye on your culture as much and as often as you do your revenue.
I want to dive into that deep because a lot of people use that word culture and they think it's the foosball table in the kitchen and the snacks.
Absolutely.
What does culture mean to you? And especially, maybe it's different in startup culture versus in the trades. But what do you mean when we're talking culture? Let's be specific.
I'll give you an example. The week after Thanksgiving, I was introduced to a gentleman who's got a very successful concrete business, very successful. But in terms of success, in terms of the pie of what he could be achieving, he's leaving 80% of what's out there. And one of the reasons was he has got an office filled of fixed-minded people.
Okay.
He is a growth-minded person. And in our conversation, I asked him, what did you think you could achieve with people who look at change and progress as an issue, as a problem, as a threat, as the business moving in a direction that I don't know and I don't understand? He had never had anybody kind of explain it to him in that way. And he straight up asked me, Darwin, how do I fix that? And I said, it's simple. Sit down with them in the conference room. Don't sit at the end of the table. You're not a king. You're not an emperor. Sit in the middle so your head is designed to move left and right. We don't just look straight ahead, okay?
Yep.
And in business, you cannot look straight ahead. So anyone that's ever worked for me will tell you, yeah, he sat in the middle of the table. Now they probably know why. But it was so that I could look them in the eye and make sure, hey, are you good? What are you dealing with? What are you going through? What kind of response were you anticipating from you doing it this way? So I tell you what, this next time when we do it, instead of when you get to this step, I want you to do this. Try that. Come back to me. I bet you'll be happy. It'll completely change the way that they think. We have to invest in our people and businesses.
Yep.
If we don't invest in our people, somebody out there is going to take them because they know how to invest in them. That's a hard lesson to learn.
It's a very hard lesson to learn. Let's talk about the whole process of winning Entrepreneur of the Year. What did that look like from beginning till you actually won the award?
It was a whirlwind. Honestly, I was shocked because I didn't even know that there was such an award.
Okay.
The only thing that
our audience knows there is one.
Yes, there is an award out there. You're nominated anonymously. I'm not sure who did that, and then you're voted on. And I think that was the most important thing to me was, I answered my phone at 10 o'clock if someone needed something to make sure we get them taken care of. I was at the meetings. I was at the forefront. I was there making sure that if there was anyone within our business who had aspirations to become a homeowner, what were the tools that they required to do that? Entrepreneurship isn't just about an LLC and a business. It's about execution. It's about showing up and being present. There were times where I would load the trucks in the morning before the guys got there because we didn't have the staff to do it and we didn't have the revenue to support the people. Well, a lot of folks would say, "Oh man, you're the co-owner there. Like, why are you doing that?" Because that's what needs to be done. It's no different than anything else in our life. It's what needs to be done. Grass gets high, you need to cut it. It needs to be done. Numbers are not where they need to be. You need to call everybody in and find out what they're doing, what they're experiencing. There is nothing more frustrated today, CEOs and entrepreneurs, that when your employees email you a response to one of your questions or an issue in a report and you don't read it. And then you come to them 2 or 3 days and ask about it again. That shows them that you do not care about them and their time. You only care about the business, or you will not be successful on your own. You need a team. You need a team.
Rock Solid is produced and recorded at Round Rock Studio. Located right here in Round Rock, our state-of-the-art studio is built for podcasters and creatives alike. We offer multiple professionally designed podcast sets, top-notch recording gear, and a full photography studio ready for any project. Whether you're launching a new podcast or upgrading your existing one, we can help with multi-camera recording, editing, and everything you need for success. Record with us at Round Rock Studio, your local podcasting partner.
No question about it. This is something I've stressed to my middle son, especially. He's a baseball player, college pitcher.
Awesome!
And I know you have a book, and one of the main things I've tried to instill in him is the theme of your book about resilience, because I know he's not that big academic kid. Like my daughter's, went to UT, graduated with two bachelor's degrees in 4 years.
Good for her.
Okay, like it took me 6 years to graduate Brooklyn College. She's a whole different level of intelligence.
That's awesome.
But he's this athlete. He understands failure. He's been rejected from making the baseball team. He's been, had, injuries that take him out of the game. Resiliency as an entrepreneur. Let's talk about that and why you decided to write a book centered around resiliency. Tell us more about that book.
Absolutely. It's so easy as an entrepreneur to get focused on the one thing that you're doing and not understanding that you could be doing more if you had a better plan. Mm-hmm. And when I decided to write that book, Unstoppable, Mastering Resilience and Growth, it was about putting a playbook together for people to say, okay, if this guy from Round Rock with no real capital, hard work, perseverance, dedication is what got him to where he is today, what could I do? What could I achieve? Because I started with nothing, no handouts, nothing. And it was through that hard work and sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice something to achieve this dream, it's going to be really hard. But you got to diversify. I mean, I was writing scripts for commercials in Austin.
Okay.
I have a trucking business as well, where we do interstate transportation. All of these things were outside of air conditioning, but they were things that I learned 10, 15 years ago. When the delivery driver would drop off 25 units at my dock, I'd ask him, hey, who do you work for? How does that work? Because one thing I understand is transportation is an industry that will never go down. HVAC, plumbing, electrical is an industry that will never go down. And so winning that award, I think I actually watched my speech during the holidays because my daughter showed it to me again. She's like, Dad, it's amazing that you said that then because you're doing that now and you're not even in air conditioning anymore. And I said, that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. Once you get to the port, right, you may designate a new captain to sail that ship. and that ship was Greenleaf for me. It was time for me to move on. It was time for me to reach more people like you, like the folks I met with this morning, some of the investment groups that are wanting to invest in Round Rock. And being in that industry, it made it really hard for me to devote that time to this next chapter in my life. So this is exciting, but I had a plan. I had this plan 6 years ago.
Well, before we go into what you're doing now and what you're planning in the future, I do want to kind of spin back and what got you here to Round Rock initially?
So I was born in Taylor, Texas, and my father came here right after I was born to work for the electric company.
Okay.
Encore is what they're called today. Back then, they were Texas Power and Light, the big green ugly trucks, if anybody was here back 20, 30, 40 years ago. And I always saw how fun his friends, they had so much fun together. They were like brothers. And I didn't understand when I was younger what trades were. Saw my grandfather doing his thing in the plumbing sector, and then I realized when I was about 19 years old, I was a GM, working retail, living the dream, as they say. And my wife looked at me, and it was as serious as this. She says, I didn't marry you to be a single mom. And that was rough because my job is, I answer to the Father, and then that's my wife. And that was a very tough statement for me to hear. And so I had to reevaluate time versus money.
Yep.
Right? And once I understood time versus money, I said, okay, I think I could do this. So my dad's neighbor was a regional vice president for an air conditioning company at the time, and they were needing someone to come in and do sales. I was great at sales, do nothing about air conditioning.
Yep.
Long story short, my first day I sold about $38,000. Just to give you an idea, that's about a month and a half worth of revenue. Second day was about $70,000. Third day he was gone. I was now the manager, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I have a friend in the HVAC business, and his top salesman made over almost $500,000 the previous year. And my son loves to sell. He's in fact at a trade show right now helping a friend sell. And it's like, he'd be thrilled to sell in the trades because he understands there's real opportunity there.
There's huge opportunity there. It's still the best kept secret. Selling AC systems, water heaters, electrical systems.
Battery backups.
Battery backups is huge now. Anything regarding energy conservation and saving energy, and also generating your energy is big. So any young people out there, if you can invest in those skills, somebody, or maybe even yourself, can make a lot of money helping people solve their problem. That was all I did. I learned that sales was all about solving their problem. So when I came to their house and they had an AC issue, I didn't need to go look at their unit, right? That's one of the biggest mistakes I see rookies make.
Yep.
Their sales are down. Well, tell me your sales process. Well, when I get there, I go to the outdoor unit. Why? Because that's where the air conditioner is, and I need to know, aren't you replacing it? Yeah. Well, a true professional wouldn't care about what's out there because you're going to design what the customer needs, and you're going to run the calculations. So when I come to your home, and we spend an hour and a half, and we don't just talk about business, but we talk about life. And we design a system for you. And the previous two people that came out were in and out in 20 minutes. Who are you going to feel valued?
100%.
Right? That's entrepreneurship. And so I learned very early on in this industry that if I could learn the commercial side, if I could learn the refrigeration side, if I could learn the variable refrigerant flow side, I could be unstoppable. And I was. To this day, there's nobody that could touch me.
Yeah.
I could walk into any business in America today and be their top sales guy in the first week because the process doesn't fail. It's relationships.
So I want to touch on something you just said because you grew up in Taylor, which is an adjacent town, which is now blowing up because of Samsung. And you've been in this area for so long. What's the things that have shown up around here that have made it obvious that they're solving huge problems for the community that you love?
I remember, I think I was about 2 years old when we moved to Round Rock. I still remember getting picked up and moving into our neighborhood when my parents bought their first home. I would say the biggest change for me was Dell because it improved the lives of a lot of my friends. My father was an electrician, making way more money than the folks in the neighborhood. Matter of fact, I used to think that when it lightened and stormed outside, our phone would ring, like we had some kind of issue. But now I knew when I got older that was them calling my dad into work, right?
Okay.
And that's why I dedicated my book to my dad, because that work ethic that I have today, I saw it from a young age till today. He still out there with the guys because he loves it. He loves it.
If you're working on another book right now,
yes.
Let's talk about this new book that you're working on.
So this next book that I'm working on is going to be a little bit more personal. It's going to be a little bit more of a deeper dive into my faith,
okay,
and how I want to motivate people to keep walking through their valley. Because
awesome.
that's what we do. We walk. We
Well,
don't say.
And it probably comes into the name of your business, which is the Ascend Empowerment Group. So let's talk about that, and
Yes.
how you came up with the name, and what exactly you do for businesses and leaders
Thank
in the
you.
area.
Absolutely. Yes. So Ascend Empowerment Group was definitely an answered prayer. When I exited out of the trades, I asked God for two things. I want to be able to serve him and serve the people. And when I thought about how do we do that, we need a team. So Ascend, I want to empower people, and we're going to be a group. And so what I did is I went out and I found 3 of the top consultants in the area in transportation and in finance and in the trades.
Okay.
And I said, why are you working for someone else when you have the ability and skill that God gave you to work for yourself? And I instilled on them the vision that I had for my company, which was, let me put you on a bigger stage. Let me teach you some tools. So they go through a 30-day leadership kind of rebranding.
Okay.
People actually tell me, they go, man, you should actually launch this. So it's actually available on the website now, where you can go through a 30-day mental leadership kind of rebranding. A lot of people don't know what leadership is. Does that mean I need to be first in line? Does it mean I have to have all the answers?
Do you lead from the front? Do you lead from the back?
Correct. Leadership is a multitude of things, but the one thing that it isn't is being absent. You cannot be absent. You have to be established. You have to be in the business. You have to know the pulse of the business. You have to know if the young lady answering the phone or the young man answering the phone is going through some personal things, because that will affect your business, right? And it's better to address them in a positive manner and make sure that they're okay than to ignore it and allow it to have a bad altercation with your client, because you have a responsibility to them too. So what we've been able to do at Ascend Empowerment Group is help companies improve on their leadership, whether it be through their marketing, whether it be through acquisition of new companies. That's pretty exciting new realm, that by bringing in this third individual into our business, that we've been able to open up a whole new world to where we'll be doing mergers and acquisitions this year for local businesses who maybe hadn't had such good experiences in the past with outside firms.
Yep.
So we're focusing on Round Rock and keeping it local here.
If you had to recommend a kind of unique business that you love about Round Rock to people who have never been here before, what are you having them check out?
Man, when people come here to Round Rock, I definitely tell them, you got to go check out the domain. The outlet mall. That was something that enabled our kids to stay here in town and our money to stay here for tax dollars in town. And kids don't understand that, but parents and businesses, we do. The Round Rock Chamber in our school district makes my job easier when I'm trying to woo businesses here. I'll be very honest with you. Because as a Black man to win Entrepreneur of the Year in Williamson County, and to tell people that I was born and raised here, and that everything that I've been able to accomplish was a unit, it was a multicultural community. This is a fantastic community. I will stand on it in front of anybody and shout from the rooftops. Don't come to this town telling me that there's some kind of biased or racist culture, because there is not. There is not. The opportunity is here. You just have to want to take it. Our beautiful police department and the training that they have. I have so much pride to drive my daughter to work, pass it every day. And I say, to have those bond packages pass and for the community to be in agreement with what we need to do to make sure our men and women are prepared to protect us. You don't get that everywhere. You don't get that from the mayor, city council, yourself. There's so many wonderful individuals that make up this town. It's kind of fitting. We're Round Rock. We're round. It's a group together.
I like that. I never kind of thought about it in that wording and using that, but that's a great metaphor for what we are, a strong group.
It is. It is a very strong. If you look at just a 2-mile radius of downtown Round Rock, I would be willing to bet that 70% of those businesses graduated from here. Do the math.
We might have to do a little survey and find out.
You'd be very shocked. There are more business owners from McNeil, Round Rock, Westwood in this community than there are in Pflugerville, Taylor, Hutto, Cedar Park, or any of those other districts. There is something that was instilled in me growing up in this district. I had a great middle school teacher, Jackie Phillips, rest her soul, magnificent woman. She pulled me aside in 6th grade to say, you know, you're different than the kids you're hanging out with. And I know you hear this from your family a lot, but you've got something different, and I want to show you something. And she started introducing me to different cultures, different books. She knew I liked history. She actually took me to Washington, D.C., and that trip changed my life because I never had someone outside of my family take a moment to say, hey, I see something in you, but you shouldn't be doing it this way. Instead of saying you're bad, 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 bad. And I still manage people to this day that way.
I want to wrap up with one last question, which is if you had to give that one piece of advice to someone questioning whether they should come here and start a business or stay wherever they are, what kind of advice are you going to give them if they want to be successful here?
Give yourself grace and reach out to people in the community. That's so important. I'm trying to get as many folks as I can to come and utilize the resources that the city of Round Rock offers and that the Round Rock Chamber offers, because you can be successful. They want you to succeed. It's not just about that fee. It's about watching you grow. It's about a young kid born in 1979 who graduated from Round Rock High School in 1998 to an Entrepreneur of the Year in his hometown in a building where he used to play flashlight freeze tag in the 80s. There's nothing more mind-boggling than that. If that dream can come real for me, and for me to now move on to, you know, the global stage in consulting and bringing more investors to Round Rock, you can do it too, and you can do it too.
I actually have one last question because, you know, I've recently become involved with the chamber because I've always worked with a lot of global businesses and consulting, and now I have a local business. And the franchise suggested to us to be part of the chamber, but we didn't really know exactly what it is. And we see a lot of businesses who will become members, maybe they'll even have a ribbon cutting, and they don't get what they need to out of the chamber. They don't understand it. What are they missing?
A plan. They're doing what they see everyone doing. And here's my advice to those folks. When you do what everyone else is doing, you will have a for lease sign in your business just like they do. The chamber is a resource. It is not the solution. You as the owner, the manager, the supervisor are the solution. If you come and get the tools. So if you come to the morning mixers, you're going to see people from all types of diverse business groups who might be able to help you with your customer service problem. Maybe you have a logistics problem. You can come to one of those meetings. Maybe you have an innovation problem. We offer the pitch competition every year for you to come and see what local people in the community are doing. I think this is year 3 or year 4 now. That would be my advice to them, is to give yourself some grace, because you are going to fail. It's okay. People look at failure as if I've done something wrong, I shouldn't be doing this. That's not the case. It's you attempted something and it didn't go the way you anticipated, but when you attempt it again, you now start up here. You're not starting back down here again. Take those failures, write them down. I keep a journal that I use every day. And in that journal, I have failures in green and wins in red. People go, well, why are the failures in green? Because I've made more money from what I've learned knowledge-wise from those failures than any of my successes.
Well, kind of sum it up. If you develop that resilience from failure, you have a chance to ascend from what you learned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Resilience is everything. Who you are in here is everything. When no one's around and you know things need to get done within the business, are you going to be the person to do it? Or are you going to wait and hope to chance or to fate? And that's the difference of the successful entrepreneurs and the non-successful one. You know, when you walk in a room, do people look at you and go, oh man, don't do anything with him. Like you don't know what he's doing. He's going to do. Or are they going to say, hey, come here, I need to introduce you to someone.
Darwin, it was great spending time with you today.
It's an honor.
If people want to connect with you and connect with your business, how do they find you?
Yeah, so we can reach us online at aegnow.com. We kept it easy and simple. Right now, for the month of January, I'm offering 15-minute free sessions to any entrepreneur in Round Rock to help them and navigate. My network is expansive because I've been here my entire life. So chances are, if you have a headache, within a 15-minute conversation, I can point you to the person to solve it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.